This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute professional medical advice. Please consult with your doctor or a qualified healthcare specialist before starting any new vitamins or supplements mentioned in this video. Use of this information is at your own risk. They told you the agonizing pain in your knees is just getting older. They lied. Right now, millions of microscopic zombie cells are actively eating the cartilage in your legs, setting you up for a devastating, life-altering fall. If you ignore this morning's stiffness today, losing your independence isn't a possibility. It's a certainty. The fix, however, takes exactly 0 pills and just 1 seated movement. They told you the agonizing pain in your knees is just getting older. They lied. Right now, millions of microscopic zombie cells are actively eating the cartilage in your legs, setting you up for a devastating, life-altering fall. If you ignore this morning's stiffness today, losing your independence is not merely a possibility, it is a certainty. The medical industry often dismisses your agony as normal wear and tear, sending you home with a prescription for painkillers and a pat on the back. But while you mask the pain, your foundation is crumbling. Welcome to EldraFit Nutrition. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. If you are tired of being ignored by a healthcare system that treats your symptoms instead of your biology, please hit that subscribe button right now. Your support fuels our mission to bring you the unfiltered, evidence-based truth about your health, empowering us to keep creating content that could quite literally save your life and your mobility. For decades, the dominant narrative surrounding joint pain, especially in the knees and hips of those over 60, has been a deeply flawed mechanical analogy. You have been conditioned to believe that your body is a decaying machine. They compare your joints to the brake pads on a car or the treads on an old tire. The story goes that after 60 years of walking, running, and carrying the weight of your life, the rubber has simply worn thin. This mechanical model implies inevitability. It suggests that once the tread is gone, there is absolutely nothing you can do except wait for a total joint replacement or resign yourself to a wheelchair. This is the single most dangerous lie you can believe. Your legs are not made of rubber and steel. Your joints are incredibly dynamic, living biological tissues. They are bustling ecosystems complete with a blood supply, complex cellular activity, and an astonishing intrinsic capacity to repair, regenerate, and adapt, even well into your 70s and 80s. When you wake up and feel that sharp, grinding pain in your knees, it is not the sound of a machine breaking down. It is the desperate cry of living tissue that is being suffocated and poisoned from the inside out. The stiffness that forces you to hold onto the dresser just across the bedroom is a massive red flag warning you of a biological failure, not a mechanical one. If you continue to treat your joints like rusty hinges, applying the wrong kinds of force and feeding them the wrong compounds, the cartilage will inevitably give way. A sudden collapse on the stairs, a fractured femur, and a permanent loss of the life you love are the brutal consequences of misunderstanding your own body. We need to shift our entire paradigm. We must stop looking at aging legs through the lens of physics and start looking at them through the lens of biology. Because the moment you realize your joints are alive, you realize they can be healed. Before we uncover the invisible enemies destroying your cartilage, I want to ask you a quick question. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Question: up until today, what did you genuinely believe was the main cause of your knee pain? Type A in the comments if you believed it was just natural mechanical wear and tear from aging. Type B in the comments if you suspected there was an underlying biological or inflammatory issue going on. Drop your A or B down below right now, and let us dive into the real science of what is happening inside your legs. Now that we have shattered the myth of the mechanical machine, we must face the terrifying reality of what is actually happening deep inside your knees. The true enemies of your mobility are microscopic, and they are launching a coordinated attack on your cartilage every single second of the day. The first and most destructive force at play involves a biological phenomenon known as cellular senescence. In a healthy, younger body, when cells sustain damage or reach the end of their functional lifespan, they gracefully undergo a programmed death and are efficiently swept away by your immune system to make room for fresh, healthy tissue. However, as we cross the threshold of 60, our immune system becomes sluggish. The damaged cells in your joint tissues stop dividing, but they refuse to die. Researchers refer to these as senescent cells, but the medical community informally calls them zombie cells. These zombie cells linger in your connective tissues, refusing to be cleared out. Worse, they are not just taking up space, they are highly active and incredibly toxic. These senescent cells continuously secrete a steady stream of highly inflammatory molecules known as cytokines directly into your joint capsule. This creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation that essentially bathes your cartilage in an acidic, degrading chemical soup. The zombie cells are actively eating away the smooth, protective layers of your knee, causing the bone-on-bone friction that makes every step a nightmare. But the biological assault does not stop there. The second major factor driving your joint deterioration is a silent process called capillary rarefaction. Your knee cartilage is entirely avascular, meaning it does not have its own direct blood supply to deliver oxygen and crucial nutrients. Instead, it is entirely dependent on a dense microscopic network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries located in the surrounding tissues. The cartilage acts like a sponge, absorbing what it needs through diffusion. As we age, if we do not actively intervene, this intricate network of capillaries begins to wither and die off. The vascular density plummets, and your joints are left starving. Without a robust blood flow in the surrounding neighborhood, the cartilage simply cannot get the raw materials it needs to maintain its structural integrity or repair the daily micro-tears that occur from normal walking. The combination of these two forces is catastrophic. You have toxic zombie cells eroding the tissue from the inside, while capillary rarefaction chokes off the supply line of nutrients needed for repair. Your knees are quite literally trapped in a biological famine while fighting off a relentless chemical fire. This is why standard interventions often fail miserably. When you pop a painkiller, you are just silencing the fire alarm while the building continues to burn down. The zombie cells keep multiplying, the blood vessels keep vanishing, and the structural integrity of your leg moves closer to the breaking point. To truly save your joints and prevent a devastating fracture, we have to stop focusing on the pain and start focusing on the cellular environment. We must find a way to flush out the toxicity and force blood back into these starving tissues without causing further mechanical damage. Driven by the desperation to maintain mobility and escape the creeping threat of a wheelchair, many well-meaning people over 60 make critical mistakes that accelerate their joint destruction. The instinct is to fight the stiffness with aggressive movement. You wake up with locked knees, so you immediately force yourself into deep, painful stretches. Or you decide that walking is the ultimate cure, pushing yourself for miles on hard concrete sidewalks despite the searing pain. Both of these approaches are incredibly dangerous for a joint that is actively inflamed and starving for nutrients. Forcing a cold, unlubricated joint into an aggressive stretch creates microscopic tears in the already fragile cartilage. Pounding the pavement sends violent shock waves straight up your leg, amplifying the inflammation caused by the zombie cells. You are punishing a joint that desperately needs to be nurtured. The goal is to stimulate healing, not to test your pain tolerance. The scientific breakthrough for rehabilitating aging, compromised knees is entirely counterintuitive. You must engage the muscles intensely without moving the joint at all. This is the power of isometric contraction. An isometric exercise creates massive tension and muscular engagement while the joint remains completely stationary. Imagine sitting on the edge of a firm chair with your back straight and your feet flat on the floor. You extend your aching leg slightly forward, keeping your heel on the ground. Now, without letting your foot slide or move a single millimeter, you press your heel down and forcefully pull back, as if trying to drag the floor beneath you. You hold this intense, vibrating tension for 8 to 10 seconds before slowly releasing. When you perform this isometric contraction, you are essentially turning your leg muscles into a powerful biological pump. The intense muscle activation squeezes the surrounding tissues, physically forcing the stagnant, toxic fluid out of the joint capsule. The moment you release the tension, a fresh, nutrient-rich rush of blood and synovial fluid floods back into the area. You are manually overriding the capillary rarefaction, delivering life-saving oxygen to the starving cartilage without ever grinding the bones together. By repeating this simple seated movement just 5 times every morning, you accomplish 2 critical things. First, you lubricate the joint perfectly before you ever put your full body weight on it, dramatically reducing morning stiffness. Second, you begin to build a rigid, stabilizing armor of muscle around the knee. This muscular armor acts as a natural shock absorber, taking the physical burden off the compromised cartilage and significantly reducing your risk of a catastrophic fall. You are no longer wearing your joints down, you are actively pumping life back into them. While the mechanical pump of an isometric contraction is a crucial lifeline for starving joints, it cannot fight a chemical war alone. You are still harboring an army of toxic zombie cells actively eroding your cartilage. To truly save your legs from a catastrophic collapse, you must flood your system with the biological weaponry capable of hunting down and destroying these senescent cells. This is where the profound power of targeted nutrition becomes a matter of physical survival. Science has recently identified a class of natural, highly potent compounds known as senolytics. These molecules are not mere vitamins. They are targeted assassins that seek out the inflamed, lingering cells in your joint capsules and force them to undergo the cellular death they have been resisting. The 2 most extensively researched senolytics capable of penetrating these tissues are fisetin and quercetin. You do not need an expensive experimental pharmaceutical to access them. Fisetin is highly concentrated in everyday foods like strawberries, crisp apples, and persimmons. Quercetin is abundant in the sharp bite of red onions, capers, dark leafy greens, and deeply colored berries. By intentionally loading your daily meals with these specific compounds, you are actively dispatching a cleanup crew to neutralize the acidic, cartilage-destroying environment inside your knees. However, flushing out the dead cells is only half the battle. You must simultaneously extinguish the systemic fire burning through your connective tissues. This requires a ruthless commitment to an anti-inflammatory dietary protocol. You must strip your pantry of highly processed foods, refined grains, and excessive sugars, which act as pure gasoline poured directly onto your joint inflammation. Instead, fortify your body with the rich, protective fats found in wild-caught fish, extra virgin olive oil, and raw nuts. This is not about vanity or losing weight. This is about fundamentally altering the chemical composition of your synovial fluid. This dietary shift rebuilds your internal environment, thickening the fluid that cushions your bones and enhancing the overall density of your skeletal structure. You are meticulously constructing a biological fortress around your knees, ensuring that your legs possess the raw structural integrity to support your weight, resist sudden impacts, and completely eliminate the looming threat of a devastating, life-altering fracture. You are eating to survive and to walk freely. Knowing the science is empowering, but true transformation demands a relentless daily commitment to the process. You are attempting to reverse decades of microscopic damage and biological neglect, and you must set your expectations in reality. If you diligently apply that intense, seated isometric hold every single morning before your feet ever touch the cold floor, and if you radically shift your plate to include those senolytic compounds, you will not experience an overnight miracle. Biological reconstruction is a deliberate, methodical process. Within the first few days, however, the suffocating morning stiffness will begin to break. That agonizing first step out of bed will feel marginally lighter as the freshly pumped synovial fluid finally lubricates the starved cartilage. As days turn into a few weeks, the cumulative effect of destroying those zombie cells and building that muscular armor will become undeniable. The baseline ache that has haunted your daily life will dull. You will notice a newfound stability when navigating stairs, a solid confidence replacing the terrifying, shaky hesitation that precedes a fall. Over the span of several months, this consistent, dual-pronged approach of mechanical pumping and chemical warfare will profoundly alter the trajectory of your aging. Your legs will reclaim their strength, and the dark cloud of an impending wheelchair will dissipate. It is imperative to understand that this protocol does not replace the critical guidance of a qualified medical professional, especially if you are facing severe structural degradation. What it does is grant you unparalleled control over the biological environment of your own body. It works in tandem with medical care to halt the rapid acceleration of decay. You do not have to accept the narrative that profound pain and fragility are the mandatory taxes of a long life. Your body possesses a miraculous, enduring capacity to heal itself, provided you stop treating it like a broken machine and start treating it like the living, adaptable organism it is. Your legs can carry you through the rest of your life with power and grace, but the decision to save them must be made today. The ultimate lesson we must extract from this journey into the biology of our joints is one of profound self-responsibility and awakening. For too long, society has conditioned us to view the aging process as a passive downward spiral where our bodies simply betray us. We are taught to surrender our mobility to the passage of time, accepting joint decay as an inescapable sentence. But the science we have explored reveals a radically different truth. Your body is not betraying you. It is reacting exactly as it is programmed to when starved of nutrients, overwhelmed by cellular waste, and subjected to the wrong types of mechanical stress. The profound takeaway is that aging is not a process of inevitable mechanical breakdown, but rather a biological negotiation. You have a seat at the table. You possess the power to dictate the terms of your mobility through the daily choices you make. The practical application of this knowledge requires a fundamental shift in your daily routine. It means rejecting the urge to force painful stretches and instead dedicating just a few minutes every morning to strategic, seated isometric contractions that flood your knees with life-giving fluid. It means looking at your plate not just as a source of calories, but as a precise delivery system for senolytic compounds like fisetin and quercetin that actively hunt down the cellular debris destroying your cartilage. It means actively participating in your own physical salvation. You must become the primary architect of your joint health, utilizing these simple, science-backed tools to build a fortress of muscle and clean, oxygenated tissue around your knees. Your legs are the foundation of your independence, and protecting them is the most vital investment you can make in your future. Now, I would love to hear from you. What is one small change you are going to make to your morning routine or your diet starting tomorrow to protect your joints? Please leave your answer in the comments below so we can all learn and draw inspiration from each other. If you found this deep dive into the true science of joint health valuable, please subscribe to the channel right now to support our work and ensure we can keep bringing you the content you need to thrive.